Have you ever felt like you're stuck, in a crowded, hyper-competitive space, constantly fighting for every client, every sale, every single inch of ground?
Hmm.
What if there was a completely different way? Maybe a path to create an entirely new market, one where competition simply isn't relevant because, well, you've set all the rules yourself.
That's the dream, isn't it?
It really is. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into blue ocean strategy, which is, I think, a truly transformative framework for growth.
Absolutely.
Our mission today is to unpack how companies, and maybe even you, in your own endeavors, can move beyond that fierce, bloody competition.
Yeah, that red ocean.
Exactly, the red ocean, to create uncontested market space and hopefully lead to highly profitable growth and, well, surprising new possibilities.
And this whole discussion, it's grounded in the insights and, importantly, the real-world case studies from the book Blue Ocean Strategy. It's quite influential.
Very influential. So to really get this, we first need to define these oceans the strategy talks about. It paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it?
It really does. And it starts with the reality for most businesses, the red ocean.
Okay, so the book kicks off with this picture of red oceans. Can you help us understand what that really means for businesses today and why it's such a challenge?
Absolutely. So think of red oceans as basically all the industries that currently exist. It's the known market space.
Right, the established players, the boundaries.
Exactly. Established markets, well-defined company boundaries, and the competition is just intense. The
Yeah.
metaphor itself is pretty stark.
Right.
Imagine a shark-infested ocean turning red with blood from all the competitive battles for market share.
Ooh.
And the core challenge here is that in so many industries today, supply now significantly exceeds demand.
Right, more people selling than buying, essentially.
Precisely. So just competing harder for a bigger slice of a shrinking or maybe a static market, that's just
Exactly.
not enough for sustained high performance anymore. It's
Yeah.
kind of a zero-sum game.
That's a really powerful image and frankly, a bit grim. It really highlights that it's about more than just, beating your rivals. It's finding a way to maybe not have rivals at all.
Exactly. And that naturally brings us to the flip side, the blue ocean.
The blue ocean, the promise.
Right. Blue oceans represent this vast, untapped market space. Here, demand is actually created, not fought over.
So competition isn't the point.
It becomes irrelevant
Mm-hmm.
because you are the ones setting the rules of the game. And what's really fascinating, I think, is that most blue oceans aren't created by, venturing miles away into completely unknown territory.
Oh, really? So not some sci-fi invention.
Not usually, no. More often, they're born from within existing red oceans.
Yeah.
By expanding the existing industry boundaries. Just think about Cirque du Soleil, they operated within the entertainment sector.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't invent entertainment, but they totally redefined what a circus could be. They expanded that boundary.
And the impact of actually creating these blue oceans, it's quite something. There was a study mentioned looking at 108 business launches.
Yes, a very revealing study.
It found that 86% of those launches were just incremental things, line extensions within existing red oceans.
The safe bets, supposedly.
Right. And they got 62% of total revenues, but only 39% of total profits.
Okay, so decent revenue, not great profit.
But here's the kicker. The other 14% of launches, the ones aimed at creating blue oceans, they generated a disproportionate 38% of total revenues
Nearly as much revenue from far fewer launches.
and a staggering 61% of total profits.
Wow.
That's a massive difference, isn't it, for such a small percentage of the efforts?
It really is. And this brings us to a really critical insight about the right unit of analysis.
What do you mean by unit of analysis?
Well, conventional wisdom often points to excellent companies, the visionary ones, or specific hot industries as the source of high performance.
Sure, we hear that all the time. Invest in this sector or follow that CEO.
But history just doesn't bear that out consistently. Companies rise and fall. Industries constantly evolve. We've all seen celebrated companies falter. So the research shows that neither the company nor the industry itself is actually the best unit of analysis if you're studying the roots of profitable growth.
That's fascinating. So if it's not the company and it's not the industry, what is the true unit of analysis for explaining how blue oceans get created and how companies sustain high performance?
It's the strategic move.
The strategic move, okay.
Yeah. And a strategic move isn't just one single action. It's the entire set of managerial actions and decisions involved in making a major market-creating business offering.
Ah, so it's the whole package deal, the orchestration.
Exactly. It's orchestrating all those elements together that
Mm,
truly carves out that new space.
that makes perfect sense. And Compaq is a great example, right? Even though they were eventually acquired.
Right, by HP back in 2001,
Yeah. Their legacy includes some really powerful blue ocean strategic moves, like essentially creating the server industry.
which became a massive multi-billion-dollar market.
Exactly. That single strategic move created a whole new space that just didn't exist before.
Which leads us perfectly to the cornerstone, the real engine of blue ocean strategy: value innovation.
Value innovation. Okay.
Companies that successfully create blue oceans, they don't obsessively benchmark their competitors. They don't just try to beat them at their own
They're
game.
not playing the same game at all.
No, they actively aim to make them irrelevant. Their strategic logic is fundamentally different, and that logic is called value innovation.
So value innovation. It sounds a bit like magic to some people, I think. It's pursuing both differentiation and low cost at the same time.
Right, simultaneously.
Which flies in the face of traditional strategy, doesn't it? That whole value cost trade-off idea. You either create greater value at a higher cost or, reasonable value at a lower cost. Pick one.
Exactly, that's the dogma. Value innovation defies that.
But how? How is that even possible?
How this really is the core paradox that value innovation cracks. How can you achieve both differentiation and low cost together? It seems totally counterintuitive at first glance, because it asks you to challenge some really fundamental assumptions about your industry.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at Cirque du Soleil again. Before they came along,
Right, the traditional circus
it
industry.
was shrinking, wasn't it? Mostly appealing to kids. And the competitors, what were they doing?
Well, they were basically doing more of the same, competing fiercely to get slightly more famous clowns or more daring lion tamers.
Which just drove up costs.
Exactly, drove up costs without fundamentally changing or improving the actual experience for a broader audience. It was a classic red ocean death spiral.
Definitely sounds like it. So Cirque du Soleil didn't just try to be a better traditional circus.
No way, that would have been a losing battle. Instead, they appealed to a completely new group of customers. Adults, corporate clients, people who are willing to pay a much higher price, actually, for a totally unprecedented kind of entertainment experience.
So they weren't just fusing circus and theater, they were redefining the whole problem they were solving for the audience.
Absolutely. They changed the game entirely.
And how did they pull off that magic blend? Creating higher value, but somehow at a lower cost structure.
They did it by applying what the book calls the 4 actions framework. It's quite elegant.
Okay.
First, they eliminated factors the industry took for granted, but didn't add much value for their target audience, like those expensive animal shows.
Right, which are also becoming controversial.
Exactly. Increasing public discomfort, huge expenses for the animals, training, care, transport, all gone. They also eliminated star performers and the need for multiple show arenas traveling around.
Well, that cut cost dramatically.
Hugely. Then they created and raised new elements that weren't typical in circuses. They brought in a unifying theme for each show, sophisticated artistic music and dance, multiple productions running concurrently, borrowing heavily from theater, especially Broadway.
Ah, okay. So they took elements from a different world.
Right. They effectively reinvented the circus concept, fused the fun and thrill of the circus with the intellectual sophistication and artistic richness of the theater, and boom, they broke that value-cost trade-off.
Creating a new uncontested market space. Higher value, lower cost structure.
Precisely.
That's just brilliant. It makes you realize how many assumptions we just accept as the way things are in any industry, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Like, a circus must have animals. Cirque du Soleil just said. Does it? It's a real lesson in challenging that status quo.
It is. And it's really important to understand that value innovation isn't just about, say, a clever product or service innovation in isolation.
Right, it's bigger than that.
Much bigger. It's about a holistic strategy. It aligns the utility you offer, the price point, and your cost activities across the entire company. It's systemic.
Okay. That systemic approach is what makes it sustainable, not just a one-off hit.
Exactly. That's how you build a lasting blue ocean.
So if you're not just benchmarking the competition, how do you systematically find these blue ocean opportunities? It can feel a bit abstract.
Well, the book outlines 6 clear paths. 6 ways to reconstruct market boundaries that really help you break out of that red ocean thinking.
6 paths.
And these paths work by challenging fundamental, often unconscious assumptions that keep companies trapped in those competitive battles.
Okay, let's walk through them. What's the first path?
The first path is to look across alternative industries,
Alternative industries.
meaning buyers often implicitly weigh alternatives from totally different industries that serve the same basic purpose,
Yeah.
even if their form or function is distinct.
Give me an example.
Think about a night out. You might consider going to the movies or going to a restaurant. Different industries, different forms, but they fulfill a similar need for an evening's entertainment.
Okay, got it. So how does a company use that insight?
Well, look at NetJets.
Fractional jet ownership, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Instead of just competing head-on with other private jet charter companies, which is a pretty small, intense red ocean itself, NetJets looked at the alternatives for corporate travel.
Which were?
On one hand, commercial airlines. Cheap, relatively speaking, but incredibly inconvenient, especially for executives. Lots of wasted time, hassle. On the other hand, full private jet ownership. Super convenient, super fast, but prohibitively expensive for most companies.
Right. Massive upfront cost plus ongoing costs.
So NetJets saw this gap. They created a blue ocean by offering fractional ownership. For a share of the cost, customers could get the speed and convenience of a private jet.
But without the massive capital outlay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At a price point that, when you factor in all the direct and indirect costs of commercial travel, actually looked quite attractive to a large mass of corporate travelers. They removed the big pain points of both alternatives.
Clever. Okay, what about another example?
NTT Docomo's iMode in Japan is another great one.
The early mobile internet service.
Yeah. They looked across the existing options. There was the internet via PC, tons of information, but a high PC costs, dial-up nuisances, quality.
Right.
And then there were traditional mobile phones, basically just for voice calls back then. Very limited.
So iMode bridged that gap.
Perfectly. It offered simplified, curated internet access, email, news, entertainment right on your mobile phone at a dramatically lower price than getting a PC and an internet connection.
And it was easy to use.
Incredibly easy. A single iMode button. Plus a simple billing service that put all the web service charges right onto your monthly phone bill. No fiddling with credit card details online, which was a big barrier then.
Removing another pain point.
Exactly. They created a whole new mass market for mobile data where one didn't really exist before.
Okay, so that's looking across alternatives. What's path number 2?
Path 2 is to look across strategic groups within industries.
Strategic groups. Like different tiers or segments.
Precisely. Industries often have a kind of hierarchy. Think luxury cars versus economy cars, or full-service brokers versus discount brokers.
Right. Different business models targeting different customer segments within the same broad industry.
Exactly. Blue oceans can often be found by understanding why buyers trade up or down between these groups. What factors make them choose one over the other?
Okay, example time.
Curves. The women's fitness company.
Oh, yeah, they exploded for a while there.
They really did. In the fitness industry, they saw women often felt forced to choose between two main options.
Which were?
Traditional health clubs, which could be really time-consuming, often intimidating with complex equipment, or, frankly, just men being there and expensive.
Okay.
Or home exercise programs, DVDs, videos, flexible, private, cheaper, but often lacked motivation. It's easy to skip a workout at home.
True. So Curves saw women trading off between those two.
Yes, and they realized most women didn't actually want all the bells and whistles of a big gym. The pools, the saunas, the extensive weight machines, the men.
What did they want?
Primarily, motivation and a quick, effective workout. So Curves eliminated all those unwanted high-cost features of traditional gyms.
No pools, no smoothie bars.
Nope, and no men. Then they combined the motivational aspect of group exercise, the circuit format keeps you moving, with the convenience, privacy, and low cost associated with home programs.
So it was like the best of both worlds.
Kind of. It resulted in a simple 30-minute workout in a supportive, women-only environment for around $30 a month back then.
That's radically different.
Totally. It created a huge new market of women who felt completely unserved by the existing gyms or home options. They tapped into non-consumers.
Makes sense. Okay, path number 3.
Path 3. Look across the chain of buyers.
The chain of buyers, what does that mean?
Well, in most transactions, there isn't just one buyer. There's often a chain. The purchaser who pays, the user who actually consumes it, and maybe influencers who recommend it.
Ah, okay. Like in pharmaceuticals, the doctor influences, the patient uses, the insurance or government often purchases.
Exactly. Conventional strategies often laser focus on just one of those groups, usually the purchaser.
Mm.
But shifting that focus, understanding who really makes the decision or who derives the most value, can unlock totally new possibilities.
Interesting. Example.
Novo Nordisk, the insulin maker, with their Novo pen.
The insulin pen, right.
Yeah. Traditionally, insulin producers focused almost entirely on doctors, the influencers, and maybe pharmacists, the purchasers, and those groups were perfectly happy with insulin vials. It worked for them.
Okay.
But Novo Nordisk decided to focus on the patients, the actual users.
And what did they find?
They found that using vials and syringes was complicated, cumbersome, often quite painful, and frankly embarrassing for patients to do in public.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So Novo Nordisk developed the Novo Pen. It looked kind of like a fountain pen. It made carrying and administering insulin super easy, discreet, and much less painful.
Focusing on the user's pain points.
Exactly. It created a huge new market for user-friendly insulin delivery systems. They shifted the value proposition completely by focusing on the user, not just the influencer or purchaser.
That's powerful. Another one.
Think about Bloomberg in the financial information industry.
Right, the terminals on every trader's desk.
Before Bloomberg, the industry typically sold its systems to IT managers, the purchasers. And IT managers cared about things like system standardization, technical specs, cost.
Makes sense for their role.
But Michael Bloomberg realized the real power users were the traders and analysts themselves.
The end users.
Right, so he focused on them. He designed terminals that were incredibly easy to use with familiar financial terms, not tech jargon, dual monitors so they could see everything at once, built-in analytical functions they needed right there.
So tailored to the trader's workflow.
Totally. And he even added personal lifestyle concierge-type services, ordering flowers, booking travel, because these traders worked insane hours.
Ah, really?
Yeah. It made the terminals utterly indispensable to the users. So indispensable that IT managers basically had no choice but to purchase them, even if they were more expensive or less standardized initially. He flipped the focus in the buyer chain.
Amazing. Okay, path 4.
Path 4 is to look across complementary product and service offerings.
Complementary, like things people use with your product.
Exactly. Few products or services are used in total isolation. Their real value to the customer is often profoundly affected by what happens before, during, and after they actually use your core offering.
Okay. Like buying a car, you also need insurance, fuel, maintenance.
Precisely. Identifying and eliminating pain points or adding value in those complementary activities can create really powerful blue oceans. It's about the total solution the customer is seeking.
Got it. Any examples jump out?
NABI, the Hungarian bus manufacturer in the U.S. municipal bus industry.
Okay, buses. Seems pretty straightforward.
You'd think. Bus manufacturers traditionally competed almost entirely on the initial purchase price of the bus, a very functional red ocean approach. Lowest bid wins.
Standard procurement process.
Right. But NABI realized that for the municipalities buying the buses, the initial price was only a small part of the total cost. The real costs came after the purchase.
Like what?
Maintenance, fuel consumption, repairs.
Yeah.
All over the bus's typical 12-year life cycle. That's where the big money was spent.
Ah, the total cost of ownership.
Exactly. So NABI made a radical shift. They started building buses using fiberglass instead of the traditional steel.
Why fiberglass?
Lighter weight, which meant much better fuel efficiency. Easier and cheaper to repair if damaged. Didn't rust. It dramatically reduced those life cycle costs for the municipality.
Clever.
And they didn't stop there. They also added features like sleeker, more modern designs, easier boarding for passengers. So while NABI often charged a higher initial price,
Their total cost over the 12 years was lower?
significantly lower, they created higher value for the customer, the municipality, at a lower overall cost. They redefined the value equation by looking at the whole life cycle of complementary costs.
Brilliant. Okay, path 5. We're getting through these.
Path 5. Look across functional or emotional appeal to buyers.
Functional or emotional? What's the idea here?
Some industries compete primarily on function and price-think commodities. Budget airlines, maybe. Very rational.
Right, utility focused.
Others compete mainly on feelings and emotional appeal. Think fashion, luxury goods, perfumes.
Okay. So industries tend to lean one way or the other.
They often do, and they get stuck there. Challenging this accepted orientation, adding emotion to a functional industry, or adding function simplicity to an emotional one, can open up entirely new market space.
Interesting. So shifting the basis of appeal.
Exactly. Take QB House, the Asian barbershop chain.
Okay, barbershops. Emotional or functional?
Traditionally, in many places, the barbershop experience was quite an emotional ritual, right? Long, relaxing, maybe a head massage, hot towels, tea, conversation, a whole social experience.
Yeah, definitely more than just a haircut sometimes.
QB House stripped all that away.
Yeah.
They shifted entirely to a purely functional, low-cost model.
How functional?
10-minute haircuts,
Yeah.
no appointments. They even developed a unique air wash system, basically a little vacuum to suck away cut hair, eliminating the need for time-consuming wet hair washing.
Wow, no frills at all.
None. They even have a traffic light system outside each booth, showing if it's free, occupied, or being cleaned. It's functional to the absolute extreme. Fast, efficient, hygienic. They took an emotional service and made it purely functional.
And the flip side, adding emotion to functional.
Cemex, the giant Mexican cement producer.
Cement. Doesn't get much more functional than cement.
Right. It was a classic functional commodity. Price-driven. Gray bags of powder.
Yeah.
Cemex transformed it by appealing to the emotion behind the cement. The dream of building or improving a home.
How do they do that?
They launched a program called Patrimonio Hoy, Patrimony Today. It targeted low-income families who dreamed of adding a room to their house but struggled to save enough money or manage the building process.
Okay.
The program allowed families to join savings clubs and make small, regular weekly payments towards the materials needed for their future room. Cemex not only delivered the cement and other materials, but also provided support, storage, and technical advice.
So they weren't just selling cement, they were selling the dream and helping people achieve it.
Exactly. They wrapped an emotional promise, the gift of dreams, around a functional product, and they provided the enabling services. This created huge new demand for cement by tapping into the aspirations of millions, turning a gray commodity into a symbol of progress and hope.
That's really quite profound. Okay, one path left. Path 6.
That's 6.
Yeah.
Look across time, focusing on external trends.
Looking across time, forecasting the future.
Sort of, but it's more specific than just general forecasting. All industries are shaped by external trends, right? Technology, regulations, social movements.
Sure.
Most companies just try to adapt to these trends as they happen, often incrementally. Blue Ocean strategists try to anticipate how these trends will fundamentally change what customers value, and then actively shape the future market based on that insight.
So it's about seeing where things are headed and getting there first with the right offering.
Yes, but crucially, the trends you focus on must be decisive, meaning they'll significantly impact your industry. They must be irreversible, and they need to have a clear trajectory or direction. You can't build a strategy on a vague fad.
Okay, that makes sense. What's a good example?
Apple and iTunes.
The digital music revolution.
Exactly. Back in the early 2000s, Apple clearly recognized the massive, irreversible trend of digital music consumption.
Yeah, Napster had blown the doors open, but it was messy.
Totally messy. Plagued by illegality, often poor sound quality, difficult to find what you wanted. It was chaotic for users and disastrous for the music industry.
Right.
So Apple didn't just react to the trend. They anticipated where it needed to go to become mainstream and legitimate. In 2003, they launched iTunes.
The legal download store.
Yes. It offered a legal, super easy-to-use platform, high-quality songs, and crucially, a la carte downloads 99 cents a song.
Which broke a huge customer annoyance, right? Having to buy a whole album for just one or two songs you liked.
Exactly. That was a major pain point they eliminated.
Yeah.
iTunes leveraged the digital trend, but provided a vastly superior legal alternative to illicit file sharing. It balanced user freedom with artist rights.
And it massively boosted the appeal of their iPod, too.
Hugely. It created a virtuous cycle. Within a year, they had captured something like 70% of the legal music download market. They didn't just ride the wave, they shaped it.
That's a fantastic example of looking across time. Okay, so we've explored the theory, the difference between red and blue, and these 6 really powerful paths for actually spotting potential blue oceans.
Right. Ways to systematically reconstruct market boundaries.
But identifying an opportunity, that's really just the start, isn't it? The real challenge often is making it happen, actually executing it within your organization.
Absolutely. Ideas are one thing, execution is everything.
And traditional strategic planning often gets bogged down, doesn't it? Lost in spreadsheets, numbers, incremental tweaks.
Yeah, it can lead to more red ocean thinking, just optimizing the status quo. The book really emphasizes focusing on the big picture, not getting lost in the numbers initially. And it uses a key visual tool for this, the strategy canvas.
The strategy canvas. Okay, tell us about that.
It's basically a visual map. It charts the current strategic landscape and your potential future strategy against the key factors the industry competes on. A strong blue ocean strategy canvas has three clear qualities you can just see visually.
What are they?
Focus. Your strategy doesn't diffuse effort across all factors. It focuses on a few key ones. Divergence. Your profile looks distinct. It doesn't just mimic competitors, and it should suggest a clear, compelling tagline.
A tagline that crystallizes the difference.
Exactly. And there's a structured four-step process for using visualization to build this canvas and get buy-in. The book uses European Financial Services, EFS, as an example.
Okay, step one.
Step one is visual awakening. This is where managers actually draw their current strategy canvas. And often the results are, well, sobering.
How so?
At EFS, for instance, they had this award-winning online service they were very proud of. But when they mapped it, they realized it was actually performing poorly on factors customers cared about, like speed. They also saw their traditional service and their online one lacked focus and looked way too similar to their rivals.
So it forces you to confront reality, warts and all.
Precisely. It reveals internal contradictions, fuzzy strategies. It's a powerful wake-up call for the need for fundamental change.
Okay, makes sense. Step two.
Step two, visual exploration. Get out of the office, go into the field.
See things firsthand.
Yes. Observe how people actually use or maybe don't use your products and services. Talk to your customers. Crucially, talk to non-customers. Talk to users of alternatives. Look at those complementary products and services we discussed.
So real-world reconnaissance.
Exactly. For EFS, managers went out and shadowed their key account relationship managers, who they thought were a core strength. They discovered they were actually incredibly inefficient and often focused on the wrong things from the customer's perspective. This firsthand experience completely overturned assumptions they'd held just looking at internal reports.
Wow. Okay, step three.
Step three is the visual strategy fair.
Sounds fun. What happens there?
You basically present multiple proposed new strategy canvases, different potential blue ocean strategies to a wide audience. Internal people, yes, but also external stakeholders, customers, lost customers, even non-customers of the industry.
So you get direct feedback on the different options.
You do. You collect feedback, see which canvases resonate, synthesize the findings. EFS used this to identify common needs across different markets they served, and it became clear they needed to merge their online and offline approaches into one compelling offering.
And did a clear winner emerge?
Yes. Their new profile involved eliminating the high-cost, low-value relationship management and focusing ruthlessly on speed, reliability, and ease of use. This led directly to that compelling tagline.
What was it again?
The FedEx of corporate foreign exchange. Easy, reliable, fast, and trackable.
That's clear. It tells you exactly what they stand for.
It really does. And it sounds simple, but getting there represented a huge strategic shift.
Okay, so that leads to the final step.
Step 4. Visual communication. Once you've landed on the chosen strategy, you create a single, simple, one-page picture of it, the final strategy canvas.
Just repeat.
One page. Easy to understand, easy to share. You distribute it widely throughout the organization. And critically, you use it to guide all investment and operational decisions going forward. Does this initiative support our new canvas? If not, why are we doing it?
So it becomes the guiding star.
Exactly. For EFS, employees apparently even pinned up the picture in their cubicles. It was a constant reminder of the new priorities, ensuring everyone was literally and figuratively on the same page.
That visual approach seems really powerful for building alignment.
It really is. Much more effective than dense strategy documents few people read.
Now, beyond the strategy canvas for a specific offering, the book also mentions the Pioneer Migrator Settler Map, or PMS map. That sounds intriguing.
Yes. The acronym is memorable. It's a tool for looking at the company's entire portfolio of businesses at a corporate level.
Okay, so not just one product line, but everything the company does.
Right. It helps assess the overall growth potential of the portfolio. It categorizes businesses into 3 types.
Pioneers, migrators, settlers, what are they?
Settlers are basically your Me Too businesses. They operate in existing red oceans, probably have low growth potential, but they're often today's cash generators. Steady eddies.
Okay, standard stuff.
Migrators offer improved value compared to the average competitor, maybe through extensions or enhancements. They can deliver reasonable growth, but they don't fundamentally change the industry landscape. They're better, but still in the red ocean.
Right, and pioneers.
Pioneers are the true blue ocean creators. They offer unprecedented value, redefine the industry, and have the maximum growth potential. Though, importantly, they might consume cash initially while they scale up.
So the goal isn't to have only pioneers.
No, not necessarily. The goal is to achieve a healthy balance in your portfolio. You need pioneers for future growth and renewal, but you likely need settlers and migrators for current cash flow and stability. The PMS map helps visualize that balance and guide future investments. Are we investing too much in just defending settlers? Do we have enough pioneers in the pipeline?
Got it. It's a portfolio management tool for growth strategy.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've got a potentially brilliant blue ocean idea, you visualize it with the canvas, maybe assess your portfolio. What's next to make sure it's actually commercially viable?
This is crucial. You need to get the strategic sequence right. A great idea isn't enough. It has to pass 4 sequential hurdles to ensure it's not just clever, but a genuinely viable, profitable business.
4 hurdles in sequence. Okay, what's the first one?
First, and perhaps most important, buyer utility. Does your offering unlock exceptional utility for buyers? Is there a really compelling reason for the mass of people to actually buy it?
Exceptional utility, not just slightly better.
No, significantly better. You have to avoid the technology trap.
The technology trap.
Yeah, creating something technologically amazing, but that nobody actually finds that useful or easy to use. Think of the Philips CDI player. Impressive tech for its time, but complicated, expensive, and lacked compelling software or a clear value proposition for the average consumer. It flopped.
Right, cool tech isn't enough.
Definitely not. The book suggests using the buyer utility map, a framework that looks at 6 stages of the buyer experience, like purchase, delivery, use, maintenance, across 6 utility levers, like simplicity, fun, risk reduction. It helps you systematically check where are the biggest blocks to utility in the current offerings, and does our idea smash through them?
Okay, so hurdle 1. Is it exceptionally useful? If yes, hurdle 2.
Hurdle 2, strategic price. Yeah. You're offering priced attractively enough to capture the mass of target buyers right from the start. Make it irresistible.
Strategic price doesn't necessarily mean the absolute lowest price, though.
Not necessarily lowest, no, but it has to be a price that makes the value proposition compelling for the largest possible segment of your target market. And it needs to be said strategically to discourage imitation early on. Consider network effects too. Sometimes a lower price builds a user base faster, creating its own barrier.
Right, like Swatch.
Perfect example. They priced their watches around $40. This wasn't just cheap. It positioned them as affordable fashion accessories. People bought multiples. It also left very little profit margin for potential low-cost imitators to undercut them. The price corridor of the mass tool helps analyze competitors and alternatives to find that sweet spot price that unlocks mass demand.
Okay, exceptional utility, strategic price. Hurdle 3.
Hurdle 3, target costing. Now the tough part. Can you actually produce your offering profitably at that strategic price you just set?
Ah, the reality check.
Exactly. This requires what's called price minus costing. You start with the strategic price buyers are willing to pay, subtract your desired profit margin, and that gives you your target cost.
As opposed to the usual cost plus pricing.
Right. Traditional cost plus starts with your costs and adds a margin. Price minus forces you to innovate on costs to meet the price the market will bear.
How do companies achieve that?
Key levers are streamlining operations, looking for cost innovations throughout the value chain. Think Ford's assembly line, which slashed labor hours dramatically, or strategic partnering like IKEA, leveraging massive scale with global manufacturers, or SAP partnering with Oracle early on to use their database instead of building their own. It's about engineering your entire business model and cost structure to hit that target cost.
Okay, utility, price, cost. What's the final hurdle? Hurdle 4.
Hurdle 4, adoption. Even if you have great utility, the right price, and a workable cost structure, you still need to overcome potential adoption hurdles.
Hurdles like people resisting the change.
Exactly. Fear or resistance might come from your own employees worried about their jobs changing, or from business partners, distributors, suppliers, who feel threatened by the new model, or sometimes even from the general public if the offering challenges social norms.
So you have to anticipate and manage that resistance.
Proactively, you need to address these concerns head-on through open discussion, clearly explaining the benefits for them and setting clear expectations. For instance, SAP knew their new, faster ASAP software might worry their consulting partners who made money from long implementations.
Right, faster implementation means fewer billable hours for them.
Potentially. So SAP openly addressed this. They showed partners how SAP would actually expand their client base by making SAP accessible to smaller and mid-sized companies they couldn't reach before. It was about getting buy-in by showing the win-win.
Okay, so utility, price, cost, adoption. Pass all four, and you've got a viable blue ocean.
That's the idea. The Blue Ocean Idea Index, or BOI Index, is basically a final checklist. Does our idea score well across these four critical criteria? NTT Docomo's iMode passed with flying colors. The Philips CDI or Motorola's Iridium satellite phone? Not so much. They stumbled on utility or price or adoption. It's a really practical filter.
It seems like a very robust process. But even with the best idea that passes all these tests, getting it implemented inside a big organization, that can still be a huge challenge, right? Inertia, politics.
Oh, absolutely. Even the most brilliant strategy can crash and burn against organizational hurdles. The book identifies four key ones.
4 hurdles to execution. Okay.
First, the cognitive hurdle. People are just stuck in the status quo.
Yeah.
They don't see the need for radical change. We've always done it this way.
Yeah, that's common.
Second, the resource hurdle. You've got this great idea, but we don't have the budget. We lack the people. Limited funds seem like an insurmountable barrier.
Always a problem.
Third, the motivational hurdle. Your staff might just be unmotivated. They don't believe in the new strategy, or they fear the extra work or change involved. They lack the will.
Right, change is hard.
And fourth, the political hurdle. Internal politics. Vested interests, powerful individuals or departments who feel threatened by the change and actively work to undermine it.
The internal battles. Okay, cognitive, resource, motivational, political. How do you overcome those? It sounds daunting.
This is where the concept of tipping point leadership comes in.
Tipping point leadership, like Malcolm Gladwell's tipping point.
Similar idea. It argues you don't need to convert everyone or get massive resources up front. Instead, you focus your efforts on leveraging disproportionate influence factors, key people, specific activities, or hotspots to overcome these hurdles quickly and at surprisingly low cost. You tip the organization into the new strategy.
Okay, so how do you apply that to each hurdle? Let's start with the cognitive one, people stuck in the old ways.
To break the cognitive hurdle, don't just throw numbers and PowerPoint slides at people. Abstract arguments rarely change minds. Instead, make them see and experience the harsh reality firsthand.
Show, don't just tell.
Exactly. NYPD Chief Bill Bratton, when he took over in the 90s, faced massive resistance to changing policing strategies. The top brass didn't believe the subway system was as bad as claimed.
So what did he do?
He made his senior officers ride the subway. Daily, often late at night. They had to experience the filth, the crime, the chaos themselves. It shattered their complacency far more effectively than any crime statistic report could have.
Wow. Direct experience.
Yes. He also encouraged commanders to meet directly with disgruntled citizens. In one Boston district, officers doing this realized the community wasn't primarily worried about major crimes. They were plagued by minor quality of life issues that the police were ignoring. Seeing the problem through the customer's eyes is a powerful cognitive shifter.
Okay, that makes sense for the cognitive hurdle. What about the resource hurdle? Well, we don't have the money.
Instead of begging for more resources, which often fails, tipping point leaders focus on multiplying the value of the resources they already have.
Wow.
2 key tactics. First, redistribute resources. Find the cold spots activities or units that consume a lot of resources but have very low impact, and shift those resources to the hotspots activities with high impact potential but starved of resources.
So focus your firepower where it matters most.
Exactly. Bratton, for instance, realized a huge percentage of subway crime happened in just a few specific stations and lines. He flooded those hotspots with officers, drawing them from less critical areas, rather than thinly spreading resources everywhere.
And the second tactic?
Horse trading. Find other departments or organizations that have resources you need but don't value highly, and trade them something you have in excess that they value. Bratton famously traded unused NYPD patrol cars, which the Division of Parole desperately needed, in exchange for much-needed office space adjacent to subway stations.
Creative bartering.
It's about being incredibly resourceful and challenging the assumption that you always need more budget. Often, it's about using what you have far more effectively.
Okay, resource hurdle tackled. What about the motivational hurdle, getting people on board and energized?
Here, the key is first to atomize the challenge. Break down the big, daunting strategic shift into concrete, bite-sized, manageable tasks that people feel they can actually accomplish. Don't ask them to transform the company. Ask them to achieve a specific, clear objective within their control.
Make it feel achievable.
Yes, but even more crucial is practicing fair process. This is huge for building trust and voluntary cooperation, which is far more powerful than forced compliance.
Fair process. What does that involve?
3 core principles. Engagement. Involve people in the strategic decisions that affect them. Ask for their input. Make them feel heard. explanation. Clearly explain the thinking behind the final decisions. Why this strategy? Why these changes? Even if people don't agree with the decision, they're more likely to support it if they understand the rationale. And clarity of expectation. Once decisions are made, clearly state the new rules of the game. What are the new goals, responsibilities, and performance metrics? No ambiguity.
Engagement, explanation, clarity. EEC.
Exactly. The book contrasts a failed plant turnaround at Elko Corporation's Chester plant, where management imposed changes without fair process, leading to resistance and failure, with a successful turnaround at their High Park plant, where the manager meticulously followed fair process, engaging the union and workforce, explaining everything. He got willing cooperation and turned the plant around, even with the same union and similar challenges. Fair process builds belief and ownership.
That's a critical lesson. Okay, final hurdle. Politics. The internal resistance.
Yes. Politics. To tackle the political hurdle, you need to be strategic about managing influence. First, identify your key players.
Who are they?
You need to identify your kingpins, people within the organization who have significant influence and credibility, and who can potentially champion your cause or at least neutralize opposition. You also need to identify your devils, those who have the most to lose from the change and are likely to fight it tooth and nail.
Know your allies and your enemies.
Essentially, yes. Then leverage your angels, those who have the most to gain from the change, by building a broad coalition. Crucially, bring respected insiders onto your core team early. Braden appointed John Timoney, a highly respected NYPD veteran, as his second-in-command, his consigliere. This signaled respect for the existing organization and gave him invaluable internal intelligence.
Okay, so build alliances with respected insiders. How do you handle the devils?
You need to anticipate their attacks and preemptively undermine them. Isolate them by building that broader coalition. And have your facts ready. Know what arguments they're likely to use. This will cost too much. It won't work here. And counter them swiftly and decisively with irrefutable data or evidence. Silence the naysayers by discrediting their arguments before they gain traction.
It sounds like navigating a minefield.
It can be. But by strategically managing these political dynamics, you can ensure that your blue ocean strategy actually gets implemented and isn't derailed by internal resistance. Tipping Point Leadership provides a roadmap for doing that efficiently.
Okay, so you've identified the opportunity, sequenced it right, navigated the organizational hurdles, you've launched your blue ocean. That's a huge achievement, but it can't last forever, can it? How long can you realistically expect to stay in that uncontested blue ocean before the competition inevitably follows and it starts to turn red again?
That's a really critical question for sustainability. And the answer is often surprisingly long. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, blue ocean strategies actually come with significant, often overlooked barriers to imitation.
Barriers to imitation, like what?
Well, many of them are cognitive and political, not just the obvious operational or technological ones. This makes imitation much harder than people think.
Give me some examples.
Okay. Sometimes the blue ocean strategy just doesn't make sense according to the competitor's conventional logic. It might conflict fundamentally with their existing brand image or business model. Think of traditional circuses trying to imitate Cirque du Soleil. It would require a complete overhaul of everything they do and stand for.
Right. Hard to replicate that whole artistic ethos.
Exactly. Sometimes there are natural monopolies or network externalities kick in, like with eBay, where the value increases immensely with more users, making it very hard for a new auction site to compete.
Patents or legal permits can protect you too, presumably.
Yes, for a time. Also, the high volume that a successful blue ocean strategy often generates can lead to rapid cost advantages through economies of scale and learning effects, making it tough for followers to match your price point profitably.
So the first mover advantage can create a cost barrier.
It often does. And don't underestimate the sheer organizational disruption required for imitation. A competitor might need to make significant political changes, overhaul operations, retrain staff, change their entire culture. That can take years if they even attempt it. All these factors combined mean that blue oceans can often remain uncontested or largely uncontested for a decade or even longer. 10 to 15 years isn't unusual. Look at Cirque du Soleil, Southwest Airlines. They enjoyed long periods of blue ocean dominance.
That's actually quite reassuring. It's not like you create it and it's gone in 6 months.
Not usually, no. It can be a surprisingly robust strategic position.
So given those barriers, how do you know when it is time to start thinking about the next blue ocean? When should you value innovate again? What are the warning signs that your current ocean is maybe getting a bit crowded, a bit reddish?
The advice is to continuously monitor your strategy canvas. Keep an eye on that value curve.
Check if it still looks different.
Exactly. If your value curve still clearly shows that focus, that divergence from competitors, and if your tagline still resonates and differentiates you strongly, then you should probably continue to exploit that blue ocean. Maximize its rent stream, as economists might say,
How?
through operational improvements, continuous refinement, maybe geographical expansion into new markets with the same successful model. Essentially, keep moving, improve efficiency, make yourself a moving target to stay ahead of any early imitators.
Okay, keep pushing the boundaries of the current blue ocean.
Right. However, when you start seeing competitors' value curves beginning to converge with yours, when their offerings start looking more and more like yours, that's the signal.
When the gap starts closing.
Yes. When you see intensifying rivalry over the same factors of competition, maybe price wars starting, that means your blue ocean is indeed reddening. And that is the clear signal that it's time to proactively seek out and begin creating your next blue ocean. Don't wait until you're fully back in the red ocean fight.
Be proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. History shows that the companies with the most powerful and lasting legacies, the ones that endure for decades, are often those that have proven capable of reinventing themselves multiple times. They do this by repeatedly creating new market space, moving from one blue ocean to the next.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, this has been fascinating. We've charted the whole course of blue ocean strategy, haven't we? From understanding that stark difference between the bloody red oceans and the wide open blue ones,
Right, the known versus the unknown market space.
to exploring those 6 systematic paths for actually creating them, breaking free from industry assumptions.
Looking across alternatives, strategic groups, buyer chains, complements, functional emotional appeal, and time.
And then digging into the critical steps for successful execution, getting the sequence right, visualizing the strategy, overcoming those tough organizational hurdles.
The cognitive, resource, motivational, and political barriers, and using tipping point leadership.
They're finally understanding how sustainable these blue oceans can be and when it's time to look for the next one.
Yeah, I think the core message here is really quite profound. This deep dive, it isn't just about business tactics, is it? It's really a fundamental mindset shift.
How so?
It's about transforming your entire perspective, moving away from constantly asking, how do we compete?
Hmm?
How do we beat the rivals?
To asking, how do we make the competition irrelevant?
Exactly. How do we create a leap in value that opens up completely new demand? It's a different question altogether.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've covered a lot of ground.
Well, hopefully this framework offers a really powerful lens, a new way to view almost any endeavor you're involved in.
Not just starting a business, then.
No, not at all. It could be your career path, a project you're working on, maybe even a personal challenge where you feel stuck in existing options. It empowers you, I think, to look beyond the established boundaries and start asking different kinds of questions.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening, something to mull over.
Yeah, perhaps consider an area in your own life or work where you feel, well, stuck. Stuck in a red ocean of competition, or maybe just limited choices, where things feel zero-sum.
Okay.
And then ask yourself, what is one taken for granted assumption in that space? Something everyone just accepts as the way things are done. Could you challenge that assumption by applying one of these paths, by looking across alternatives maybe, or different strategic groups, or by shifting your focus to an overlooked buyer or user, or thinking about complementary offerings, or challenging the functional emotional orientation, or projecting a key trend?
Just pick one assumption to challenge.
Just one. How might that simple shift, that different question, begin to sketch the outline of your own unique blue ocean? Where could it lead?